another episode of NatSec Analysis. It's my huge pleasure to welcome Dr. Adityanjee. He's a very welcome, sir. He's a very famous and renowned geopolitical analyst with several columns in some very reputed publications. And also, he's a very established psychiatrist who is based out of the US. And today, as we discussed, we are going to speak of Afghanistan's relationship with India.
Thank you very much indeed, Captain Nikita Sahay, for welcoming me again on your platform, NetSec Analysis. It's always a pleasure because your questions are very deep and analytical. So I'm very pleased to be here. And yes, the situation in this whole of South Asia matrix and the current geopolitical situation, India's relationship with Afghanistan, Afghanistan's relationship with Pakistan, and Afghanistan's relationship with China, all these are important vectors as we are discussing this issue. And probably we'll talk about other things that are happening geopolitically in this discussion. But suffice it to say, India's relationship with Afghanistan, although it is Taliban 2.0, is still geopolitically, geostrategically very important to the extent that their acting agriculture minister was in New Delhi last week. And he came and basically said Afghans and Indians have the same DNA. Whether that was for optics or pleasing his hosts, but that was a very important statement.
Pakistan has often blamed Afghanistan as acting a proxy country to India. We will go into all those discussions as we go further into it today. But sir, since the re-emergence of Taliban in 2021, they took over the Afghan government. What are the specific changes that you have seen in India's strategic approach towards Afghanistan?
So bottom line is that in Taliban 1.0, we had a hands-off policy towards Taliban. There were mutual hostilities between the Taliban regime as well as Indian government. So India did not want to burn the hands. 2001, when Taliban won, were ousted, supported by United States, India did develop actually good relationship with the Dr. Ashraf Ghani government that came. And since 2001, India spent almost $3 billion in reconstruction, civilian aid, humanitarian assistance, building hospitals, building parliament, building pipelines, all those kind of things. To 2021, when Taliban 2.0 came, initially India had very cautious reaction. India still does not recognize Taliban 2.0 government, yet we have
Not
forced it.
officially.
Well, we don't recognize. We don't give them diplomatic recognition, but that does not mean that engagement must stop.
True.
So India is engaging very appropriately with Taliban 2.0. And since 2021, India has given humanitarian assistance up to $70 million. It is not direct cash transfer to Taliban 2.0 government, but it is through United Nations, through NGOs for humanitarian assistance. Relationship is good. Actually, when they came back to power, it was facilitated by a Pakistani army. Let's be very clear about it. Pakistani army did support Taliban 2.0 because they had their Quetta Shura and other leaders. They were based in Pakistan, some in Karachi, others in Quetta. And during Trump 1.0 regime, 5,000 Taliban fighters were released from Afghanistan prisons under US pressure. Pakistan was complicit in. There were round of talks in Doha. So Doha round of talks, and subsequently under Biden administration, they decided to leave, and Pakistan facilitated re-emergence of Taliban 2.0. Pakistan's belief was that they will be able to pull the strings and have Taliban 2.0 as their puppet regime in Afghanistan.
They wanted Afghanistan to be a proxy to them, and that is why they keep saying that thing
So the
about
prime
India.
minister at that time was Imran Khan Niazi, and he had sent actually his director of ISI. I'm forgetting the name, Hamid something, Faiz Hamid or something like that. At the
Hmm.
time of the so-called inauguration of Taliban government, he was there trying to make peace between different factions of Taliban and trying to promote Pakistani interests. When Imran Khan government was dismissed, this guy Faiz Hamid, I think he was arrested. But Pakistan's attempt has always been from the time of Ziaul Haq to have Afghanistan for strategic depth. They always hosted Afghan refugees because they were trying to de-Pashtunize them and Wahhabize them so that both the
Hmm.
populations across the Durand line will just become Wahhabi Arabized version of Islamic Ummah followers, and that will give strategic depth to Pakistan. Now, that did not happen. And Taliban 2.0 started asserting their autonomy. And of course, their relationship is not good. They are fighting with each other. There are frequent ceasefires and raids across each this thing. There are accusations, counter accusations. And yes, Pakistan does accuse India of using Afghanistan, led by Taliban 2.0, as a proxy.
So, if we look at 1996, because we have been talking about Taliban re-emergence. So, 1996 was the first time when Taliban came into its full power, if we may say. So, as compared to the Indian government's attitude towards then Taliban's presence in Afghanistan, and as compared to now, what are the differences? Like, we are talking about readaptation and reshaping of our strategic attitude towards Afghanistan. So, what are the differences? Because I think that previously India was pretty crude or.
I won't say crude, but our interests were not matching. Taliban 1.0, for all its worth, were a creation of Pakistan, creation of
Hmm.
ISI. Actually, it was Benazir Bhutto that created Taliban in 1994. So we need to understand, where Taliban are coming from. Again, it was a state policy started initially by Ziaul Haq, who gave, you know, bases to so-called Al-Qaeda or created Al-Qaeda, and Al-Qaeda in cahoots with Pakistan's ISI later on created Taliban 1.0 led by Mullah Omar. So when they came in 1996 to power, they were very much virulently anti-India, virulently anti-minority.
Hmm.
Of course, they considered Hindus or Sikhs as kafirs. So there was a
Hmm.
lot of expulsion of people,
Hmm.
and they were lock, stock, and barrel in taking Pakistani line.
Hmm.
But they did not last very long because of their hosting of Osama bin Laden and, of course, what happened 9/11 and subsequent bombings, etc.
Hmm.
Compared to that time, this time, Indian government has taken a very pragmatic attitude.
Hmm.
You know, whether you recognize of them or not, you have to live with them because they are controlling the territory. If
Hmm.
you don't engage, there are more pitfalls, there are more,
Like in 2008.
yeah, there are more harms if India does not engage. There are other people who are willing to engage. China is willing to engage. China wanted to develop minerals and copper mines there.
Hmm.
And of course, United States in Taliban 1.0 wanted to start this pipeline TAPI,
Hmm.
Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, that will
Hmm.
bring gas from Turkmenistan to Fazilka in Abohar district in Punjab. And that's a actually United Nations supported project on which $10 billion has already been spent. The part of pipeline in Turkmenistan has already been built, It's being built in Afghanistan, then it'll traverse through Pakistan to India. Uh, Another, I think Kazakhstan also wants to join this TAPI pipeline. So we have interest now, we have interest that we cannot give away Afghanistan on a platter to China and Pakistan. Now, relationship between Pakistan and Afghanistan is very bad at this point in time, but you need to know that China, despite not recognizing Taliban, have an ambassador level relationship with Taliban. So China will go anywhere. Now, if we have
Is it
to,
because of the port politics, Chabar port politics?
it's because of that, it's because of the mineral wealth uh, that is there in Afghanistan. China also wants to extend CPAC,
Hmm.
China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, under BRI to Afghanistan. So they are going to engage. They are very agnostic. China looks only at the money and strategic interests. China does not look at human rights, women's rights, treatment of minorities. They will deal with anyone as long as China makes money and China's strategic expansionist interests are taken into consideration. So again, it will be strategic depth for both Pakistan as well as China if they work with Afghanistan and try to control the travel of goods or produce from China through land pathways. Warm water ports, whether it is, you mentioned Chaba, but whether it's Gwadar, because China is having some problem in Gwadar.
Hmm.
And yes, China tried to outsmart on Chabar also with Iran, although India spent almost $500 million dollars in developing Chaba. We got only one
Hmm.
actually landing sites in the port. China is taking over others. So, in any geopolitical calculation in Indian subcontinent, you have to deal with China factor and you have to work with that. And of course, US is always willing to have its fingers there as long as it
True.
helps. So
US is always willing to do these
yeah,
things. True.
so why should India as a nation, keep a highbrow attitude and not engage with a government that has been in power now for 5 years plus and is not going anywhere? So you have to deal with them and you have to deal with them for your own geopolitical interests.
And so, what about the regional security? What is the influence of India and Afghanistan's relationship in in keeping or maintaining the regional security in place, the peace over Pakistan and other factors?
Well, if Pakistan is engaged on its western front, its
Hmm.
influence and its emphasis on eastern front would be diminished because you have limited resources. So
True, true that.
if you have to protect your flank and you are doing that all
Hmm.
the time,
Hmm.
you will pose less threat to India on the eastern sector, which is very
Hmm.
true.
Hmm.
So from India's point of view, these hostilities between Pakistan and Afghanistan are helpful. I won't say good,
Hmm.
I'll say helpful. It's for,
Helpful.
yeah, it's for Pakistan to resolve the differences with the Taliban regime that they helped bring to existence.
Hmm.
But geopolitically, from India's perspective, you get some relief on the India's western border
Hmm.
if Pakistan is involved in some sort of skirmishes with Afghanistan.
So, could you please tell our viewers a little bit about INSTC, the relevance and everything apart from Chabar port? What is the complete scenario?
So INSTC is supported by Russian Federation that starts from Kandla port in Gujarat. And it's a very extensive, I think 8,000 kilometers multimodal transport
Almost
corridor,
8,000. Yes, sir.
around 8,000 kilometers. Uh, well, It involves a number of countries, but not Afghanistan.
Hmm.
But if we see trade connectivity with Afghanistan, definitely Chaba port comes into calculus. There is something else that India did from, I think, 2008 onwards. The Border Road Organization, BRO,
Hmm.
constructed a highway, Highway 66. It's also called Zaran's Delaram Highway in Afghanistan. India spent $150 million, and that provides connectivity from Chabar Airport, not airport, Chaba Port
Airport. Huh.
to
I was also
even,
calling it airport.
yeah, it's
So,
Chaba Port, not airport,
yes.
to Nimroz province in Afghanistan, which is on the northern side, but that is then connected to Kabul. So India had been shipping like wheat goods because Pakistan will not give over land rights to India or allow Pakistani airspace for passenger travel or freight movement by air to
Hmm.
Afghanistan. So India was boxed in because of that. So you had to develop this alternative route, a Chabar port, and then Zaran's Delaram highway, with which India was exporting to goods to Afghanistan and from Afghanistan to Central Asian countries. So that was the thing. But as we speak, 6 hours ago, United States bombed Chaba port.
Hmm.
Although it was functional, but you don't know how much damage has been caused by US attack on Chaba port, which is in the Iranian territory. So I guess
Yes,
there
sir.
will be some damage and probably there'll be some disruption of that, you know, India's connectivity, trade connectivity with Afghanistan because of this
Hmm.
problem.
Absolutely, sir. When we talk about the geopolitical interests, coming back to that, in the absence of a traditional diplomatic relationship with Afghanistan, uh, now the port has also been bombed by US, and Afghanistan has generally been an ally to India. We also used to have Afghan cadets in Indian military academies, OTA, IMA for the training. But in terms of resources, if we speak about it, because all that is gone, Afghanistan does not have a formal military factions and bodies anymore. In terms of support, power and defense support, or resources wise or economically, what exactly is the strategic importance of Afghanistan in India's geopolitical life?
So the scene in Afghanistan is very complex. Prior to Taliban 2.0 coming, India was more helpful to the so called Northern Alliance in Afghanistan.
Hmm.
And Northern Alliance of, I think, Masood Khan probably, he was
Hmm.
assassinated and they had to flee because they were the ones who were fighting. The Afghan government, led by Dr. Ashraf Ghani, basically fled.
Hmm.
It is
Hmm.
alleged that he fled with his family and billions of or millions of dollars in the plane.
Hmm.
You know, India has traditionally good relationship in every sphere with Afghanistani governments, whether
Hmm.
it was during the reign of King Zahir Shah.
Hmm.
India had built a hospital called Indira Gandhi Hospital in Kabul
Hmm.
in 70s. So doctors from AIMS in New Delhi used to go to Kabul, to provide treatment. And the best example, the most prominent example of Afghan army cadets training in Indian academies is Sher Muhammad Stanikzai, who trained in IMA
Hmm.
in Dehradun. And while he was training there, his nickname was Sheru, and he
Hmm.
speaks Hindi. And he was at one point in time Deputy Defense Minister of Afghanistan. He is very high in Taliban 2.0 hierarchy. And I think that has had a moderating influence in Taliban 2.0 regime towards India, and they are engaging. At this point in time, there's only one country that recognizes Taliban 2.0. And surprisingly, guess who?
Pakistan.
No, it is the Russian Federation.
Oh,
In 2024, Russia recognized
shocking.
Taliban 2.0, and nobody would believe. So, geopolitics is very brutal and very strange game. Russia, that spent 10 years in Afghanistan fighting jihadi elements, was forced to flee Afghanistan, led to their dissolution of Soviet Union
Hmm.
subsequently,
Hmm.
is the first country to recognize Taliban 2.0, and that shows you the pragmatism, geopolitical pragmatism. So,
Oil politics? What is it?
well, they don't want Afghanistan to fall prey to US machinations or
True.
under Chinese total dominance. So they are engaging, they are helping. And similarly, India has a different
India is
policy now
also.
that yes, we are not officially diplomatically recognizing you, but we will have your ministers come and visit Delhi. We will have some sort
Hmm.
of collaboration,
Hmm.
some humanitarian assistance, because we
Yeah.
have to
So
deal
please
with.
tell us a little bit in detail about the humanitarian assistance that India is providing to Afghanistan and the relationships we share with the country.
So it is like around $70 million money has been given,
Hmm.
and that has been given either through UN channels or through NGOs, not directly to Taliban government. And that
Hmm.
is for humanitarian purposes. India is still giving
Thanks.
grain, wheat, free of
Hmm.
cost.
Hmm.
So, healthcare, medicines, these things are being sent there. So there are a lot of things being done without having formal country to country relationship and without providing any arms assistance.
And I
But
also feel that apart from, I'm sorry to cut in, sir, but I also feel that apart from this being a humanitarian gesture, somewhere India also wants to protect itself from unwarranted attacks.
yes, that if you engage them and you host them and they speak to you and they come and tell you, yes, we have the same DNA as people in India. What does
That's
that
more
tell
than
you?
friendly. More than
What does
friendly.
that tell you? The fear was, the danger was that when Afghanistan fell to Taliban 2.0,
Hmm.
it was felt that this AF-Pak
Hmm.
consolidation, a single entity, an Islamist jihadist entity, will start sending terrorists again to Jammu and Kashmir.
Hmm.
That didn't happen. Why that didn't happen? One of them was that Taliban 2.0 were no longer the puppets of ISI. They had their
Because
independent.
we were helping them.
Yeah, they had their own autonomy and they got into fights with Pakistan. So they were not going to do what Pakistan or ISI or GHQ told them on the dictated lines. And of course, Taliban realized that it is not in their interest to have enemy with everyone, including India. So they are trying to repair, they are making very persistent efforts to improve their relationship with India. And I think that is welcome from geostrategic point of view.
Hmm.
And if they moderate their regime, maybe a situation may come that India may expedite this Tapi gas pipeline.
Hmm.
India is starved of gas. What is happening in West Asia? Indian tankers, the LPG containers, are being bombed both by Iran as well as by United States.
Hmm.
And somehow the government is managing without raising the prices. But we are in a very dire strait about LNG supply. And of course, recently, because of this, India and Oman have signed a agreement to have undersea gas pipeline from Oman to
Hmm.
India. So you have to look into the energy supplies, not just
Hmm.
relationship with Pakistan or whatever. So,
Hmm.
And Afghanistan, if we have good relationship, can be our gateway to Central Asia also.
Mm,
Right now, if we are able to reacquire Pakistan occupied Ladakh and Gilgit and Baltistan, we would have a
mm,
land border with Afghanistan on the Wakhan corridor. Wakhan corridor is a strip of land between Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, and China.
mm,
And Gilgit and Baltistan have borders there. So, if we are able to reclaim that, we will have direct access to Central Asia, land access,
mm,
which we don't have
mm,
right now.
mm,
So, you never know what happens in future. If protests that are happening in Pakistan occupied Kashmir and
mm.
Pakistan occupied Gilgit and Baltistan, if Pakistan's control is lost and those territories come back to join the Union of India, India will
Mm.
have a land border with Afghanistan and it will be good for us to have a direct central gateway to Central Asia, land corridor,
Mm.
land border, through which we can do commerce and we can do other things.
True, sir. So, talking about the future, right now we really discussed some very positive aspects, as you just mentioned. India may have a thoroughfare into West Asia and everything if few things happen. But what are the main geopolitical challenges and difficulties that we should be discussing and thinking about when we discuss India and Afghanistan relationship?
Influence of China is pernicious.
Ah,
China wants to exploit the copper deposit, rare earths, and minerals in Afghanistan. So, India will have to take a very pragmatic viewpoint. And if it comes to Indian investments in mining sector in Afghanistan, so be it. That is definitely a serious, serious challenge. Right now, the relationship with Afghanistan and Pakistan is not good, but Pakistan will try everything possible under its control to bring back Taliban on their side. It does not appear that may likely to happen, but that remains a challenge. Our challenge is that CPAC should not be extended to include Afghanistan.
hmm.
Our challenge is that terrorists trained by certain factions in Afghanistan are not utilized by Pakistan because Pakistan talks about good Taliban and bad Taliban. So they
Ah,
still have
so
control of,
Taliban is, yeah, good Taliban is obviously on their side.
yes. So that poses a security challenge to India. And I think that is definitely there. And then unpredictability of the current regime in United States.
True.
I mean, imagine it was Trump 1.0 that facilitated the Doha talks between Taliban, who had a headquarter there in Doha, and
Mm,
forced the Ashraf Ghani regime to release 5,000 fighters, gradually weakening that particular country, setting up a deadline that United States forces will leave by that time. And when Biden took over, Biden was never in favor of US presence in Afghanistan. Even when he
mm,
was vice president for 8 years, he had kept
mm,
on struggling and kept on fighting with Obama presidency that
mm,
US should not be in Afghanistan. It is a drain on our resources.
mm.
So, you don't want US to have some sort of engagement that goes against Indian sort of involvement in Afghanistan. Looks like we are running out of time.
All right, so we are running out of time. Yes. All right. So it's so good to listen to you always that, it's I completely get engrossed. So thank you so much, sir, for today. I think we could have spoken more, but yes, we must keep some more for the next episode. And I think we will speak again on Afghanistan. And thank you so much for joining me on NatSec analysis today. And I hope to see you soon and discuss another of our neighbors. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much indeed, Captain Nikita Sahay. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Same here, sir.